The science of human behavior, delving into the basics of psychology and how it contributes to analyzing people effectively. The science of human behavior, also known as behavioral science, is a multidisciplinary field that explores the complexities of human behavior and the underlying psychological, social, and biological factors that influence it. This field combines various disciplines, including psychology, sociology, anthropology, biology, neuroscience, and economics, to develop a comprehensive understanding of human behavior. The science of human behavior is based on the premise that human actions are not random, but influenced by many internal and external factors. Researchers aim to identify patterns, trends, and underlying principles that govern human behavior by studying these factors. This includes examining individual differences in behavior, such as personality traits, cognitive processes, and emotions, as well as social and cultural influences, such as norms, values, and group dynamics. The scientific approach involves rigorous research methods, data collection, analysis, and experimentation to uncover empirical evidence and develop theories that can explain and predict human behavior. Psychology is a fundamental aspect of human behavior science. Psychology can be treated as a scientific study of the mind and behavior. It encompasses various topics, from understanding how the brain works to exploring human emotions and social interactions. Psychology is a multifaceted field that draws upon insights from biology, philosophy, and anthropology, and other disciplines to comprehensively understand human behavior because it encompasses a wide range of topics and disciplines. Human behavior is complex, and many factors contribute to it, including cognitive, social, emotional, developmental, and biological factors. Consequently, psychologists must draw upon insights from various disciplines, such as biology, philosophy, anthropology, and sociology, to comprehensively understand human behavior. For example, cognitive psychologists must understand the workings of the brain and nervous system to study cognitive processes. In contrast, social psychologists must understand the social context in which behavior occurs. Furthermore, psychology is rapidly evolving, with discoveries and advancements constantly emerging. As a result, psychologists must remain up to date with the latest research findings and methodologies to provide accurate and effective insights into human behavior. It has practical applications in various settings, including healthcare, education, business, and criminal justice. As a result, psychologists must be able to apply their knowledge and skills to a range of real-world situations and tailor their approaches to meet the specific needs of different populations and contexts. This requires a broad knowledge base and the ability to integrate insights from various areas of psychology to address complex problems. Another fundamental aspect of psychology is the study of cognitive processes. Cognitive processes are the mental activities that allow us to acquire, process, store, and use information. They play a fundamental role in shaping our thoughts, perceptions, and behaviors. By studying these cognitive processes, psychologists gain insights into how we think, learn, problem solve, and make decisions. One important cognitive process is perception. Perception is a fascinating cognitive process that allows us to make sense of the world around us. It involves interpreting, organizing, and recognizing sensory information received through our senses. We can create mental representations of the external environment through perception and extract meaningful information from sensory inputs. One of the primary functions of perception is to select and filter relevant information from the vast amount of sensory input we receive. Our senses constantly receive overwhelming stimuli, and perception helps us focus on what is important while disregarding irrelevant or insignificant details. This selective attention allows us to prioritize and process information efficiently. Perception also involves the organization and integration of sensory information. It helps us organize individual sensory inputs into meaningful patterns and structures. For example, when we see a collection of lines, curves, and colors, perception allows us to recognize it as a familiar object or scene. This organization process helps us create a coherent and meaningful representation of the world. Another critical aspect of perception is the recognition of objects, people, and events. We can identify and assign meaning to stimuli through perceptual categorization based on previous experiences and knowledge. This process allows us to quickly recognize and distinguish familiar objects from new or unfamiliar ones. Perception is not solely based on the information received through our senses. Our expectations, beliefs, and prior knowledge also influence it. These cognitive factors can shape our perception and lead to biases or distortions. For example, suppose we expect to see a certain object in a particular context. In that case, we may be more likely to perceive it, even if the sensory input is ambiguous or incomplete. Perception is a dynamic process that various factors, including attention, context, and emotional states, can influence. Attention directs our focus to specific aspects of the sensory input, enhancing our perception of those stimuli. Contextual information provides additional cues that help us interpret and understand sensory information meaningfully. Our emotional state can also influence our perception, as certain emotions can bias our interpretation of sensory inputs. Perception is not limited to visual stimuli, but involves other sensory modalities, such as auditory, olfactory, gustatory, and tactile. Each modality provides unique information that contributes to our overall world perception. Integrating information from different senses is crucial for creating a coherent and accurate representation of our environment. Perceptual illusions and biases are phenomena that highlight the complexities of perception. Illusions occur when our perception deviates from the objective reality of the stimulus. They reveal that sensory input does not directly reflect our perception, but is influenced by various cognitive processes. On the other hand, biases reflect systematic errors in our perception, shaped by our beliefs. Expectation perception is a fascinating cognitive process that allows us to make sense of the world around us. It involves interpreting, organizing, and recognizing sensory information received through our senses. We can create mental representations of the external environment through perception and extract meaningful information from sensory inputs. One of the primary functions of perception is to select and filter relevant information from the vast amount of sensory input we receive. Our senses constantly receive overwhelming stimuli, and perception helps us focus on what is important while disregarding irrelevant or insignificant details. This selective attention allows us to prioritize and process information efficiently. Perception also involves the organization and integration of sensory information. It helps us organize individual sensory inputs into meaningful patterns and structures. For example, when we see a collection of lines, curves, and colors, perception allows us to recognize it as a familiar object or scene. This organization process helps us create a coherent and meaningful representation of the world. Another critical aspect of perception is the recognition of objects, people, and events. We can identify and assign meaning to stimuli through perceptual categorization based on previous experiences and knowledge. This process allows us to quickly recognize and distinguish familiar objects from new or unfamiliar ones. Perception is not solely based on the information received through our senses. Our expectations, beliefs, and prior knowledge also influence it. These cognitive factors can shape our perception and lead to biases or distortions. For example, suppose we expect to see a certain object in a particular context. In that case, we may be more likely to perceive it, even if the sensory input is ambiguous or incomplete. Perception is a dynamic process that various factors, including attention, context, and emotional states, can influence. Attention directs our focus to specific aspects of the sensory input, enhancing our perception of those stimuli. Contextual information provides additional cues that help us interpret and understand sensory information meaningfully. Our emotional state can also influence our perception, as certain emotions can bias our interpretation of sensory inputs. Perception is not limited to visual stimuli, but involves other sensory modalities, such as auditory, olfactory, gustatory, and tactile. Each modality provides unique information that contributes to our overall world perception. Integrating information from different senses is crucial for creating a coherent and accurate representation of our environment. Perceptual illusions and biases are phenomena that highlight the complexities of perception. Illusions occur when our perception deviates from the objective reality of the stimulus. They reveal that sensory input does not directly reflect our perception, but is influenced by various cognitive processes. On the other hand, biases reflect systematic errors in our perception shaped by our beliefs, expectations, and cultural factors. Understanding perception has practical applications in various domains, such as design, marketing, and human-computer interaction. Through perception study, researchers can identify principles and guidelines for creating effective visual displays, user interfaces, and communication strategies. Perception is a fundamental cognitive process that allows us to interpret and make sense of sensory information. It involves selective attention, organization, recognition, and integration of sensory inputs to create a meaningful representation of the world. Our expectations, beliefs, prior knowledge, and factors like attention, context, and emotions influence perception. Studying perception provides valuable insights into how we perceive and understand the world, leading to practical applications in various fields and cultural factors. Understanding perception has practical applications in various domains, such as design, marketing, and human-computer interaction. Researchers can identify principles and guidelines for creating effective visual displays, user interfaces, and communication strategies by studying perception. Perception also plays a crucial role in fields like forensic psychology, where eyewitness testimony and perception of events are important considerations. Perception is a fundamental cognitive process that allows us to interpret and make sense of sensory information. It involves selective attention, organization, recognition, and integration of sensory inputs to create a meaningful representation of the world. Our expectations, beliefs, prior knowledge, and factors like attention, context, and emotions influence perception. Studying perception provides valuable insights into how we perceive and understand the world, leading to practical applications in various fields. Attention is a crucial cognitive process that allows us to selectively focus on specific stimuli or information while filtering out irrelevant or distracting stimuli. It is fundamental to our ability to perceive, process, and interact with the world. Attention acts as a cognitive spotlight, directing our cognitive resources to our environment's most relevant and salient aspects. One of the primary functions of attention is to enhance the processing of important or relevant information. We encounter an overwhelming amount of sensory input at any given moment, and attention helps us prioritize and allocate our limited cognitive resources to stimuli most relevant to our goals, interests, or current task. Focusing our attention allows us to effectively process and make sense of the most important information at a given time. Attention operates at different levels and can be directed to various modalities, including visual, auditory, tactile, and internal mental processes. For example, visual attention allows us to selectively focus on specific objects, features, or regions within our visual field. Similarly, auditory attention lets us concentrate on specific sounds or voices amidst background noise. Attention is a limited resource, and our ability to sustain attention over time varies. Sustained attention refers to maintaining focus and concentration on a specific task or stimulus over an extended period. It is important for tasks that require prolonged mental effort, such as studying or completing complex projects. However, sustained attention can be challenging, and our ability to maintain it may fluctuate due to fatigue, boredom, or distractions. Selective attention is another aspect that involves focusing on one stimulus or task while ignoring or filtering out others. Selective attention allows us to concentrate on relevant information while suppressing irrelevant or distracting stimuli. For instance, in a noisy cafe, we can selectively attend to a conversation with a friend while tuning out the background noise and other conversations. Divided attention is simultaneously distributing attentional resources across multiple tasks or stimuli. It allows us to multitask, performing multiple activities or attending to multiple sources of information simultaneously. However, divided attention has limits, and performance on each task may suffer when attention is divided among several tasks or stimuli. Both bottom-up and top-down processes influence attention. Bottom-up processes, or stimulus-driven attention, occur when salient or unexpected environmental stimuli automatically capture attention. For example, a sudden loud noise can capture our attention involuntarily. Top-down processes, on the other hand, involve the deliberate allocation of attention based on our goals, expectations, or prior knowledge. For instance, when searching for a specific object in a cluttered environment, we selectively attend to stimuli that match our mental representation of the target. Attention can also be influenced by internal factors such as our emotional state, motivation, and personal interests. Emotionally salient stimuli often capture our attention more readily than neutral stimuli. Similarly, our motivation or interest in a task can affect our ability to maintain attention and focus. It plays a crucial role in perception, processing, and interaction with our environment. Attention can be directed to various modalities and operates at different levels, including sustained, selective, and divided attention. Both bottom-up and top-down processes and internal factors such as emotion, motivation, and interest influence it. Attention is essential in various domains, including psychology, education, and human-computer interaction, as it informs how we allocate and manage our cognitive resources for optimal performance and engagement. Memory is a fundamental cognitive process that encodes, stores, and retrieves information. It plays a crucial role in our ability to learn, retain knowledge, and navigate our daily lives. Memory enables us to remember past events, recall facts, and recognize familiar faces or places. Memory begins with encoding, which refers to converting sensory information into a form that can be stored in the brain. Encoding involves the transformation of incoming information into meaningful representations. The more effectively we encode information, the more likely it is to be retained in memory. Once information is encoded, it is stored in memory for later retrieval. The storage process involves the retention of encoded information in various memory systems. The brain has different types of memory: sensory, short-term, and long-term. Sensory memory is the initial stage of memory and is very brief. It holds sensory information for a fraction of a second after the original stimulus has ended. Sensory memory allows us to retain a brief impression of sensory inputs, such as the visual image of an object or the sound of a melody. Short-term or working memory is a system responsible for temporarily holding and manipulating information in our conscious awareness. It has a limited capacity and can hold information for only a short duration, typically around 20 to 30 seconds. Short-term memory allows us to hold and process information relevant to our ongoing activities, such as remembering a phone number while dialing it. Long-term memory is the storage system that retains information over a longer period. It has a virtually unlimited capacity and can store information for minutes, hours, days, or even a lifetime. Long-term memory is divided into explicit, declarative, and implicit, non-declarative memory. Explicit memory refers to conscious, intentional recollection of facts and events. It consists of episodic memory, which involves the recollection of specific personal experiences, and semantic memory, which involves general knowledge and concepts. Explicit memory allows us to remember specific life events, such as a recent vacation or historical facts. Implicit memory is the unconscious, automatic influence of past experiences on present behavior, without conscious awareness of the underlying memory. It includes procedural memory, which involves retention of skills and habits, and priming, which refers to the facilitation of processing a stimulus due to prior exposure. Implicit memory influences our actions and behavior, even if we are unaware of the memories that drive them. Memory retrieval is accessing and bringing stored information back into consciousness. Various factors can influence retrieval, including cues, context, and the state of mind during encoding. Retrieval can be aided by cues that help trigger or activate the memory, such as a familiar smell or a specific word associated with the information being sought. Memory is not a perfect process and is subject to errors and distortions. For example, memory can be influenced by time, interference from other memories, and personal biases. Memory can also be influenced by suggestibility, leading to the creation of false memories or the alteration of existing ones. The study of memory is vital in fields such as psychology, neuroscience, and education. Understanding how memory works helps researchers develop strategies for enhancing learning and memory, improving educational practices, and treating memory-related disorders. Memory techniques and mnemonic strategies, such as repetition, elaboration, chunking, and visualization, can enhance memory encoding and retrieval. Memory is essential for learning, retaining knowledge, and recalling past experiences. Memory includes sensory, short-term, and long-term memory, which consists of explicit and implicit memory systems. Retrieval allows us to access stored information, although memory. Language is a complex cognitive process crucial in human communication and thought. It is a uniquely human ability that allows us to convey and interpret meaning through symbols, sounds, and gestures. Language encompasses spoken, written, and sign forms and serves to express thoughts, emotions, ideas, and concepts. One key aspect of language as a cognitive process is its generative nature. Humans can produce and comprehend infinite novel utterances by combining a finite set of linguistic elements, such as words, sounds, and grammatical rules. This generative capacity allows us to create and understand sentences we have never encountered before, reflecting language's creative and flexible nature. Language acquisition begins in infancy and involves a complex interplay between innate predispositions and environmental input. Children learn language through exposure to linguistic stimuli, primarily from their caregivers and the surrounding community. They gradually acquire vocabulary, grammatical structures, and the ability to communicate effectively within their cultural and linguistic context. One crucial cognitive process in language is phonological processing, which involves perceiving and producing speech sounds. It includes recognizing and distinguishing between different phonemes, the smallest units of sound that can change the meaning of a word. For example, the difference between the P sound in pat and the B sound in bat changes the word's meaning. Phonological processing allows us to perceive and produce the sounds of our native language. It is essential for fluent speech production and comprehension. Another critical aspect of language cognition is semantic processing, which involves understanding and using the meaning of words and sentences. Semantic processing allows us to assign meaning to words and construct meaningful word representations. It involves accessing and retrieving the meanings of words from our mental lexicon, the mental storehouse of words and their associated meanings. Grammar and syntax are central to language cognition. They provide rules and structures for organizing words and forming meaningful sentences. Grammatical processing allows us to comprehend and produce sentences that adhere to the rules of our language. Syntax determines word order, sentence structure, and the relationship between words, enabling us to convey complex ideas and precise meanings. Language comprehension involves the integration of various linguistic cues, including lexical, syntactic, and contextual information. Comprehending a sentence requires understanding the meanings of individual words, grasping the relationship between words, and interpreting the overall message conveyed. Context plays a significant role in language comprehension, as it provides additional information to disambiguate meanings and fill in gaps in understanding. Language production is another critical cognitive process in language. It involves formulating and generating meaningful and grammatically correct utterances. Language production requires planning, organizing, and executing the appropriate linguistic units to express our thoughts and ideas. It involves selecting the right words, arranging them coherently, and using appropriate intonation and emphasis to convey the intended meaning. Language is not solely a means of communication, but also a tool for thinking and cognition. Language allows us to represent, manipulate, and reason abstract concepts, engage in problem solving, and engage in higher-level cognitive processes, such as planning, decision-making, and abstract reasoning. Language cognition is closely intertwined with other cognitive domains, such as memory, attention, and executive functions. Language allows us to convey and interpret meaning through symbols and rules. It is a dynamic and generative process central to human cognition and social interaction. Thinking and problem solving are fundamental cognitive processes that allow us to analyze, reason, and solve various challenges and situations. They involve mental activities such as perception, memory, attention, and language processing. Thinking and problem solving are essential for decision making, critical thinking, creativity, and learning. Thinking refers to the cognitive processes of acquiring knowledge, understanding, and forming thoughts and ideas. It involves mental activities such as conceptualizing, categorizing, comparing, and evaluating information. Thinking allows us to process, make sense of the world, and generate new insights and perspectives. On the other hand, problem solving is a specific type of thinking focused on overcoming obstacles or achieving goals. It involves identifying and defining problems, generating potential solutions, evaluating alternatives, and implementing the most effective course of action. Problem solving often requires critical thinking skills, creativity, and considering multiple perspectives. One important aspect of thinking and problem solving is the process of information processing. When faced with a problem or task, we gather relevant information, organize and interpret it, and use it to generate potential solutions or make decisions. This process involves analytical thinking, which involves logical reasoning and systematic analysis, and intuitive thinking, which relies on instinct, pattern recognition, and past experiences. Metacognition is another crucial aspect of thinking and problem solving. Metacognition refers to the ability to think about and regulate one's thinking processes. It involves being aware of our thoughts, knowledge, and strategies, and monitoring and evaluating our problem-solving progress. Metacognition is crucial in enhancing thinking and problem-solving abilities. It allows individuals to reflect on their thinking, adjust their strategies, and improve their performance. In the context of thinking and problem-solving, metacognition involves several key components. First, it includes metacognitive knowledge, understanding one's cognitive processes, and the factors influencing thinking and problem solving. This knowledge includes awareness of different strategies, task demands, and the conditions that lead to successful performance. Metacognitive knowledge also involves understanding one's strengths and weaknesses, as well as the ability to assess one's knowledge and skills accurately. This self-awareness is essential in guiding effective problem-solving efforts by identifying areas that require further attention or improvement. Another important component of metacognition in thinking and problem-solving is metacognitive monitoring. This refers to monitoring and evaluating one's thinking processes during problem solving. Metacognitive monitoring involves keeping track of progress, evaluating the effectiveness of strategies employed, assessing the accuracy and quality of the solutions generated. Metacognitive monitoring also includes the recognition of when comprehension or problem-solving difficulties arise. For example, a person engaged in a complex problem-solving task may notice when they encounter a misunderstanding or struggle to find a solution. This awareness allows them to adapt strategies, seek additional information, or adjust their approach accordingly. Metacognitive control is another critical aspect of metacognition in thinking and problem solving. It involves the ability to regulate and control one's cognitive processes. This includes planning and organizing problem-solving efforts, selecting appropriate strategies, allocating attention and resources effectively, and managing time. Metacognitive control also involves the ability to flexibly switch between different strategies and approaches based on the demands of the problem or task. For example, a person engaged in problem solving may recognize when a particular strategy is not yielding the desired results and decide to switch to an alternative approach. Metacognition in thinking and problem solving is closely linked to self-reflection and self-regulation. Self-reflection involves introspection and examining one's thoughts, actions, and problem-solving processes. It allows individuals to identify areas for improvement, make adjustments, and learn from their experiences. Self-regulation is managing one's cognitive processes and regulating behaviors to achieve desired goals. It involves setting goals, monitoring progress, and adjusting to ensure optimal performance. Self-regulation also includes resisting distractions, managing time effectively, and persisting in problem-solving even when faced with challenges or setbacks. Developing metacognitive skills in thinking and problem-solving can lead to improved performance and more effective problem-solving strategies. Individuals aware of their thinking processes can monitor their progress and regulate their cognitive efforts, are more likely to engage in strategic thinking, employ effective problem-solving techniques, and achieve successful outcomes. Educational interventions and instructional approaches explicitly teaching metacognitive skills have enhanced learners' thinking and problem-solving abilities. By fostering metacognitive awareness and providing opportunities for reflection and self-regulation, educators can help individuals become more effective thinkers and problem solvers. Metacognition allows individuals to reflect on their thinking, assess their skills and knowledge, monitor progress, and regulate cognitive efforts. Developing metacognitive skills enhances thinking and problem-solving abilities, leading to improved performance. Creative thinking is an essential component of problem-solving and thinking. It involves generating novel and innovative ideas, approaches, and solutions. Creative thinking often requires thinking outside the box, connecting seemingly unrelated concepts, and challenging traditional assumptions. Cultivating creativity can enhance problem-solving skills and lead to more effective and unique solutions. Collaborative problem-solving is another important aspect of thinking and problem-solving. In many situations, problem-solving is a social activity that requires working together with others to find solutions. Collaborative problem-solving involves communication, cooperation, and the integration of diverse perspectives and skills. Drawing on a group's collective knowledge and expertise often leads to more innovative and effective solutions. Thinking involves acquiring knowledge, understanding, and generating thoughts and ideas, while problem-solving focuses on overcoming obstacles and achieving goals. Effective problem-solving requires critical thinking, creativity, and considering multiple perspectives. Thinking and problem-solving processes are influenced by metacognition, creative thinking, decision-making, and collaborative problem-solving. Enhancing these cognitive processes can improve problem-solving abilities, decision-making skills, and critical thinking capabilities. Body language clusters, investigating the combination of multiple body language signals to form a comprehensive understanding of an individual's mindset and attitudes. There are a lot of types of body language clusters, So let's find out about them. Engagement cluster. The engagement cluster in body language refers to a set of nonverbal cues that indicate a person's active involvement, interest, and attentiveness in a particular situation or interaction. When individuals are engaged, their body language exhibits specific signals that convey their focus, enthusiasm, and receptiveness to ongoing communication. The engagement cluster typically includes several key nonverbal cues. First and foremost, engaged individuals tend to maintain direct eye contact with the person or activity of interest. They may have widened or brightened eyes, indicating their alertness and attentiveness. Additionally, their body posture is often open and leaning slightly forward, displaying a welcoming and receptive stance. Gestures within the engagement cluster can also be observed. Engaged individuals may nod their heads affirmatively, indicating their agreement or understanding. They might use hand gestures to emphasize or clarify their points, actively participating in the conversation. Facial expressions within the engagement cluster are often positive and animated, reflecting genuine interest and enthusiasm. Furthermore, engaged individuals may exhibit responsive behaviors, such as leaning in closer to the speaker, mirroring the speaker's gestures or body language, or displaying subtle signs of empathy through facial expressions. They may also demonstrate active listening skills, such as nodding, verbally affirming, or providing nonverbal cues indicating they follow the conversation closely. Overall, the engagement cluster in body language strongly indicates an individual's involvement and interest in a given context. It reflects their active participation, receptiveness, and enthusiasm for the ongoing interaction. Recognizing the cues of the engagement cluster can help individuals gauge the level of interest and attention of others, enabling them to adapt their communication accordingly and foster more effective and engaging interactions. Defensive cluster. The defensive cluster in body language refers to a collection of nonverbal cues individuals display when they feel threatened, uncomfortable, or defensive in a particular situation. These cues are subconscious responses aimed at protecting oneself, establishing personal space, or signaling a guarded stance. One prominent cue within the defensive cluster is the crossed arms or legs. This closed body posture creates a physical barrier, indicating a desire to create distance or protect oneself. The individual may also exhibit tense or rigid body language, with tightened muscles and a stiff posture. Facial expressions within the defensive cluster often include furrowed brows, a tightened jaw, or a narrowed gaze. These expressions convey a sense of caution, wariness, or even defiance. People may also avert their eyes or avoid direct eye contact to shield themselves or signal discomfort. Another indicator of the defensive cluster is the use of self-soothing gestures. Individuals may touch or rub their necks, face, or other body parts to comfort themselves and alleviate stress or anxiety. They may also display fidgeting, nail-biting, or tapping their fingers, reflecting their uneasiness or restlessness. In some cases, the defensive cluster may include a shift in body posture, such as leaning back, slouching, or creating a physical barrier by placing objects between oneself and others. These postures serve as a subconscious attempt to create personal space and protect oneself from perceived threats. It's important to note that the defensive cluster does not always indicate aggression or hostility, and can reflect an individual's discomfort, unease, or defensiveness in a given situation. Understanding these nonverbal cues can help us recognize when someone feels guarded or threatened, allowing us to adjust our behavior and communication approach to create a more comfortable and productive environment for all parties involved. Confidence cluster. The confidence cluster in body language refers to nonverbal cues exhibited by individuals who exude self-assurance, poise, and a sense of inner strength. These cues reflect confidence in themselves, their abilities, and their overall demeanor. One key indicator of the confidence cluster is an upright and open body posture. Confident individuals tend to stand tall, with their shoulders back and their heads held high. They occupy space with ease and display a relaxed yet engaged stance. This open posture conveys a sense of self-assurance and readiness to take on challenges. Facial expressions play a significant role in the confidence cluster. Individuals may have a relaxed and genuine smile, indicating their positive disposition and comfort in their skin. Their eyes may be bright and focused, reflecting attentiveness and a sense of presence. Confident individuals often maintain eye contact, demonstrating self-assurance and interest in the conversation. Gestures within the confidence cluster are deliberate and purposeful. Individuals may use expansive hand movements or open arm gestures, illustrating their confidence and willingness to express themselves. They may also employ confident and controlled gestures accompanying their speech, enhancing their message and capturing attention. Confidence is also reflected in vocal cues. Individuals with a confidence cluster may speak with clarity, volume, and a steady pace. Their voice may be resonant and well-modulated, conveying assurance and authority. Confident individuals often project their voices effectively, ensuring their message is heard and respected. Nervousness cluster. The nervousness cluster in body language refers to nonverbal cues exhibited by individuals experiencing anxiety, apprehension, or unease. These cues often manifest as physical manifestations of nervousness and can provide insights into a person's emotional state. One common indicator of the nervousness cluster is fidgeting or restlessness. Nervous individuals may exhibit restless movements, such as tapping their fingers, fiddling with objects, or shifting their weight from one foot to another. These movements reflect the internal tension and restlessness they are experiencing. Another prominent cue is the lack of eye contact. Nervous individuals may avoid direct eye contact or have fleeting glances, as they may feel uncomfortable or self-conscious. Their eyes may appear darting or restless, reflecting their heightened nervousness. Changes in body posture can also be observed within the nervousness cluster. Individuals may adopt a closed-off posture, crossing their arms or hunching their shoulders. These defensive postures serve as a way to protect themselves and create a physical barrier. Gestures within the nervousness cluster may be small and self-soothing. Individuals may rub their hands together, play with their hair, or touch their faces. These actions are often subconscious attempts to calm themselves and alleviate anxiety. Vocal cues also play a role in the nervousness cluster. Nervous individuals may speak with a softer or quivering voice, indicating their emotional state. Their speech may be more rapid or hesitant, reflecting their internal turmoil. Deception cluster. The deception cluster in body language refers to nonverbal cues commonly associated with deception or attempts to conceal the truth. When individuals engage in deceptive behavior, their body language often exhibits specific patterns that can provide clues to their hidden intentions or falsehoods. One key cue in the deception cluster is excessive or forced eye contact. Deceptive individuals may try to maintain an intense gaze or stare at the person they are interacting with to create an impression of honesty. However, this prolonged eye contact may appear unnatural or uncomfortable, as they are trying to overcompensate for their deceit. Another indicator of the deception cluster is increased fidgeting or nervous movements. Deceptive individuals may exhibit restless behavior, such as playing with objects, tapping their fingers, or shifting their weight from one foot to another. These actions stem from their heightened anxiety or unease during deception. Inconsistent or incongruent body language is also common in the deception cluster. While verbally expressing a certain message, deceptive individuals may display conflicting gestures or postures. For instance, their words may convey confidence, but their body may exhibit signs of tension or discomfort. Microexpressions, which are fleeting and involuntary facial expressions, can also be observed within the deception cluster. Deceptive individuals may briefly display subtle expressions of fear, surprise, or contempt before quickly masking them with a neutral or fabricated expression. These microexpressions can be an indication of their true emotions or conflicting thoughts. Changes in vocal patterns can also be present in the deception cluster. Deceptive individuals may experience vocal inconsistencies, such as pitch, tone, or speech rate variations. They may pause more frequently or use more fillers, such as or as they mentally navigate through their deceptive narrative. Dominance cluster. The dominance cluster in body language refers to a set of nonverbal cues that convey power, authority, and control in social interactions. When individuals display dominance, their body language signals their desire to assert dominance or establish themselves as a dominant figure in a given situation. One key cue in the dominance cluster is confident and upright posture. Dominant individuals often stand tall with an open chest and squared shoulders, projecting an image of strength and self-assuredness. They occupy space and appear physically larger, making their presence more imposing. Gestures that emphasize power and control are also characteristic of the dominance cluster. Dominant individuals may use expansive gestures, such as sweeping arm movements or open-handed gestures, to establish dominance. They may also make deliberate, purposeful movements that command attention and communicate authority. Maintaining steady and direct eye contact is another indicator of the dominance cluster. Dominant individuals typically establish and hold eye contact with others, conveying a sense of confidence and assertiveness. They may also use piercing or intense eye contact to intimidate or establish dominance over others. A firm handshake is often associated with the dominance cluster. Dominant individuals tend to offer a strong and assertive handshake, signaling their control and power. A firm grip, handshake duration handshake can demonstrate confidence and dominance. Vocal dominance is also evident in the dominance cluster. Dominant individuals speak clearly and authoritatively, projecting their voice to be heard and command attention. They may also use a tone associated with power and speak with conviction and confidence. The use of personal space is another important aspect of the dominance cluster. Dominant individuals may encroach on others' personal space, demonstrating their dominance and asserting their presence. They may stand or sit closer to others and invite personals to establish control. Facial expressions that convey dominance, such as raised eyebrows, a stern or intense gaze, or a slight smile, are also part of the dominance cluster. These expressions can communicate dominance, assertiveness, and a sense of superiority. Submissiveness cluster. The submissiveness cluster in body language refers to a set of nonverbal cues that indicate a person's inclination to yield, defer, or submit to others in social interactions. When individuals display submissiveness, their body language signals their desire to show respect, comply with authority, or convey a lower status position. One key cue in the submissiveness cluster is a lowered or hunched posture. Submissive individuals often slump their shoulders, lower their heads, and make themselves physically smaller. This posture conveys a sense of vulnerability and deference. Avoiding direct eye contact is another indicator of the submissiveness cluster. Submissive individuals may avert their gaze or lower their eyes when interacting with others, which can be interpreted as a sign of respect or subordination. This behavior defends the other person's perceived higher status or authority. Gentle and controlled movements are typical of the submissiveness cluster. Submissive individuals may exhibit slower or more deliberate movements, avoiding sudden or assertive gestures. Their movements tend to be more cautious and less expansive than dominant individuals. A weak or limp handshake is often associated with the submissiveness cluster. Submissive individuals may offer a handshake with a weak grip or even avoid initiating a handshake altogether. This handshake style reflects a lack of assertiveness and can be interpreted as a sign of submissiveness. Soft-spoken and hesitant speech is characteristic of the submissiveness cluster. Submissive individuals may speak in a quiet and measured tone, often using polite language and qualifiers. They may hesitate or pause frequently, indicating their desire to defer to others' opinions or authority. Allowing personal space and maintaining a respectful distance are also part of the submissiveness cluster. Submissive individuals may keep a greater distance from others, demonstrating respect for personal boundaries and avoiding intrusion. Facial expressions that convey submissiveness include lowered eyebrows, downcast eyes, and a gentle smile. These expressions project a sense of humility and deference. It is important to note that the display of submissiveness in body language can vary across cultures and contexts. While some cultures value and encourage submissive behavior as a sign of respect, others may perceive it as a lack of confidence or assertiveness. It is crucial to consider cultural norms and individual differences when interpreting and responding to submissive body language cues. Comfort cluster. The comfort cluster in body language refers to a set of nonverbal cues that indicate a person's sense of ease, relaxation, and comfort in social interactions. When individuals display comfort, their body language signals confidence, openness, and positive engagement with others. One key cue in the comfort cluster is a relaxed posture. Comfortable individuals often stand or sit in a balanced and upright position, with their shoulders back and their body weight evenly distributed. This posture conveys a sense of ease and self-assurance. Maintaining appropriate eye contact is another indicator of the comfort cluster. Comfortable individuals make direct eye contact with others, showing interest and engagement in the conversation. Their gaze is steady and relaxed, without overly intense or avoiding eye contact altogether. Natural and fluid movements are typical of the comfort cluster. Comfortable individuals may use relaxed gestures and body movements that flow smoothly and effortlessly. They appear at ease with their body, showcasing a sense of comfort and confidence. A firm and confident handshake is often associated with the comfort cluster. Comfortable individuals offer a handshake with a firm grip, indicating their self-assurance and readiness for interaction. This handshake style demonstrates a sense of confidence and establishes a positive impression. Clear and assertive speech is characteristic of the comfort cluster. Comfortable individuals speak with clarity, using a confident and audible voice. They express their thoughts and ideas with conviction, projecting a sense of self-assurance and competence. Maintaining an appropriate distance is also part of the comfort cluster. Comfortable individuals respect personal space while still engaging in appropriate proximity for the given context. They neither invade personal space nor create excessive distance, striking a balance that promotes comfort and positive interaction. Facial expressions that convey comfort include relaxed facial muscles, a genuine smile, and expressive eye movements. These expressions reflect a sense of ease, warmth, and openness, contributing to a positive and welcoming atmosphere. It's important to note that interpreting body language clusters should consider individual differences, cultural variations, and the context in which they occur. While these clusters can provide valuable insights, it is essential to consider the overall context and corroborating evidence before making definitive conclusions about a person's thoughts, emotions, or intentions based solely on their body language.